Welcome back. Well, Chukwuma Ezeala joins us now. He is the Chairman, Election Observation Committee of the African Bar Association, West African Sub-Region. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, taking a look at some practical cases of the elections, we know INEC has done made several comments about their readiness for the elections. Well, political parties have their views and their opinion, and that's what the political parties anyway. They'll say what they think will benefit them. But looking at some of the real cases that you think devoid of politics, are there even any for you? What will those cases be, having listened to all the arguments on some of the political parties and the response put forward by INEC?
Yes, I think INEC has improved over time. But then we still have issues with Nigeria. You know, with the citizens, with the operators, with people that are working in INEC. And when I say that with every sense of responsibility.
Yeah, because I'm smiling and I'm wondering, okay, so INEC has improved, but the people are yet to improve. Is that where, where we are?
Anyway, the area I'm looking at is, you know, sometimes we are very good at citing international examples, without also citing commitments of people in these areas. Now, when you cite an example of elections in Ghana, in Mali, you know, in South Africa, you also have to look at the commitment of those people. You know, today, you see, when I say INEC has improved, I think in terms of what they want to do, they have. But in terms of what is being done down there, it is also a problem. Take, for instance, if election had taken place as scheduled, had they as at that time, they had not trained the presiding officers or election officials. As I'm talking to you now, they are training those people. They are training the coppers, and in some areas, the training just started last week. When you look at even the quality of people that are being trained and the commitments of these people that are being trained is also another cup of tea. And like I mentioned, when we observe the elections in some other parts of the country, you enter the election system, you look at the election officials, as simple as elections were in 2003, 2007, and 2011. You see the commitment of the people in those areas, the election officials, how they take their jobs, how they seamlessly handle the elections. But in the case of Nigeria in 2003, 2007, and 2011, you find out that those simple processes, Nigerians could not handle them.
Let me bring in this case because, you know, when INEC was making that presentation, I think we also spoke with the chairman here a while ago, and they said that they had spoken with political parties, that if elections are not concluded, yeah, he spoke in the Senate, if elections are not concluded on the day, or if something happens in a polling unit, they could cancel the elections and continue the next day. And many thought, okay, he's spoken to political parties, and the impression everybody has is political parties are okay with that arrangement. But you have, all of a sudden, there are people who have objections about some of those processes. But the question now is, in reality, having observed elections, many also tell us, some of those who we've spoken to, many support it. They say there's nothing wrong with that. They cite the same examples you talked about in West Africa. It happened there, why can't it happen here? But others also say, well, some practical questions. If election is cancelled in a polling unit, and then maybe thumb printing or cards couldn't be read, incidence forms are much more than expected to be filled, you have to come back and continue the next day. Ordinarily, it should be INEC officials that will be in custody of the equipment. But some parties say, no, we don't trust this process. How does that work?
And that is why we need to reduce those incidents. Because when you isolate elections, when you move elections to the next day, there are also other logistics, security, just like in Imo State that time. When elections could not be concluded, by the time you move it, there will be issues. I know when you move to the next day, there will be less incidences of violence, and there will be less incidences of people trying to manipulate the system. But the question becomes, the process you want to take, what will be the failure rate? To what extent have you prepared the people to, you know, this voter education we talk about every time. How much is being budgeted for voter education? How much are people working on it? The voter education should be for political parties. It should also be for INEC. It should be for civil society organizations to do. To what extent are we doing it? So if you have more than 40% failure rate, what do? You move the entire election to the next day, and at that next day, what other things will you put in place to make sure that failure rate will not be there the next day?
And that's the impression people have, that if they identify, the reason why they conduct those mock tests in the first place is to identify those failure rates or instances where something could go wrong. And so if we've identified it, we will go ahead and solve it. And so on election day, it's not supposed to be a problem anymore.
Yes, and we hope they are solved, because some of them may be too technical to be solved. I'll give you an example, because we are also monitoring observing the trainings going on by INEC and the type of trainings we are giving to people, in terms of observation. In fact, what we are doing today is to relatively, prepare observers to help INEC staff. That is not to help them in terms of interfering in the process, but to help them in terms of educating them on things they may not know. Today, the trainings they have conducted over last week, like in Lagos here, the trainings they conducted last week and just this Sunday, part of the things we gathered from the interviews we conducted on them is that even those who are training may not understand the full implications of what they are doing. Take, for instance, if somebody comes with a card and the card reader do not read it at all, what happens? Some of them don't understand what should be the next thing.
Those who are training the trainers, is that what?
Yes, those who are training the trainers.
How can they not know that INEC says
you see, INEC should come out. That's why, where is the manual? In 2003, there was a manual, not just for the people that they are training, that should be out there for observers and should be there for political parties, so that every person should understand the process from day one.
Isn't just in 2003? I know that in 2011 there was also a manual that was also out, which we copied copiously from, to also help with voter education,
yes,
so that the people know what to expect. But what is INEC? I mean, INEC has not seen such a situation where you come with your card reader and it doesn't identify the card. Because from what it says, if we were to go with the results, they say that there's been 100% identification of cards. Where they've had problems is with authentication.
Yes, that is where, anyway, they said 100%. But I'll tell you another issue that came up. Some people did not get their cards. Some people that did the TVC did not get their cards. And they were asked to re-register. Now, what is the position? Some of them re-registered, and after re-registering, when they came to collect the new cards, they were given the old cards. And some came back and collected the new cards. The implication is that they have two cards. And from the fillers we have, if you have those two cards, one is deactivated. That's one automatically overrides the other one. Now, do you know the one that you should use today?
Well, you come with the two of them. Don't you think you should come with the two of them just to be safe?
No, that's your suggestion. What is, has INEC informed them that they should come with the two? And again, some of them that believed they had gotten the first card did not. My wife got the first card. She re-registered when she was asked to go and re-register. And by the time she came to collect the card, they gave her the old card. And she has kept quiet all along until in the course of my interview with the people they are training, I now discovered that old card will not work that day. She doesn't know. Nobody has told her.
But some of them will go with two cards, then they'll just bring out one. If one doesn't work, say, okay, well, sorry, you guys gave me two. Try this one. But like I said, you can't vote with two cards.